How's it going, lads? This Saturday, we got the long-awaited clash between two British boxing legacies. Finally, Chris Eubank Jr takes on his arch-rival Conor Benn in a 12-round middleweight bout at Tottenham Stadium. This fight has been talked about for years, a fantasy matchup built on history. Their dads, Chris Eubank Sr and Nigel Benn, were legends. Eubank Sr, arrogant but calculated. Nigel Benn, an emotional powerhouse ready to explode. Their first clash in 1990 had over 18 million people watching. Pure drama, with Eubank taking the victory in the 9th round. The rematch in 1994 was even bigger. It ended in a controversial draw.
Yes, it's a draw.
The third fight never happened, but that's where the Eubank Jr versus Conor Benn story begins. Now, before we go any further, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get back into the video. So, this is the first ever Ring Magazine card brought to us by His Excellency. The undercard, Billam-Smith versus Aaron McKenna, Chev Clarke versus Viddal Riley, Chris Billam-Smith versus Brandon Glanton, and Lyndon Arthur versus Anthony Yarde. This whole night is a proper event with some serious matchups, and I can't wait. Now, this fight was supposed to happen 2 years ago, but we all know what went down. Fight week, October 2022. Conor Benn fails a PED test and the fight was scrapped. Since then, tensions have only built. Eubank took a loss. Came back and avenged it. Benn fought in America and had some very underwhelming performances at 154 pounds. So, just a quick side note. People keep saying Eubank's fighting a welterweight, but that's not really the case. Yes, Benn was a 147 pounder at one stage in his career, but since the cancelled bout, he's been fighting at 154 pounds and probably walking around near middleweight to stay ready. So let's not act like this is some huge mismatch in size. Okay, I'm not going to waffle on any longer. Let's talk predictions. And yes, I am going to this fight. Bit of a hypocrite, I know. I made a whole video on why it shouldn't happen, but come on, lads. The build-up, the legacy, the first Ring Magazine card. How could I not go as a boxing fan? So anyway, here's how I see it. Both guys are fighting at slightly unnatural weights. Benn might carry more power early on at 160, but the extra weight could slow him down. Eubank's got a 10-pound rehydration clause, but let's be real, he'd probably take the fine and rehydrate fully. Now let's be honest, it wouldn't be his first time getting a fine during this fight promo, as we've already seen the British board fine him for £100,000 for slapping an egg off of Conor Benn. Like seriously, 100 grand? That's crazy. I don't understand why it's that much, but common sense goes out the window, I guess. Now, the key issue for me is experience. Benn's resume doesn't stack up. He's been knocking out lower tier guys, but since jumping up to 154, he's looked flat. No pop. Some might say it's the drug testing catching up, and maybe that is the case, but I just don't think his power is translating at this weight. And in the later rounds, he starts to come apart. Not the polished fighter he tries to be. Now, if Eubank uses his experience, stays disciplined early, and lets Benn burn energy with that emotional burst, he can take over late. He can box smart, avoid the early storm, and it's his fight to win. So, the decision is most likely. But if Benn gasses, a late stoppage is on the table. So, my final prediction, Chris Eubank Jr wins on points. Now, I know a lot of people don't like either man, but we have to be real about these predictions. Chris Eubank has fought the higher level, even though he hasn't come out the victor most of the time, he still has taken on higher opposition, whereas Benn is all hype at the moment. Now, I'd love to know what you guys think. How do you see this fight going? Do you think Chris Eubank Jr has a chance of winning, or do you think this fight is all for Benn? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you next time.